execute said change order.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Warner. Motion by Mr. Warner, support by Mr. Stevens. Discussion, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to allow our new acting city engineer to introduce herself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
You turn your microphone on.
Good evening, Council. Dana Dordeski, Acting City Engineer.
I talked to you earlier in the week about a residential problem. So it came as a shock that I didn't get Mr. Shadig on the phone. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your input and look forward to working with you.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Any other comments from council members?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Vogt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't get your name.
Dana Dordeski,
Would you spell your last name for me, please?
Dordeski.
Okay. And it's Donna is the first name?
Danuta, I commonly use Dana.
Okay. This project was not completed,
That is correct.
so what are we going to do about it?
We will rebid it for this current construction year.
Okay. How much of the job remains incomplete?
There is about $90,000 left, I believe, and it was determined that we will not continue the work with the same contractor, so we'll go through a new bid.
Okay, is that 50% complete, 20% complete?
They completed the work and they got paid for what they did. Total amount is...
I can read the numbers, I understand that, okay? I'm just asking if you know, is it halfway there? Or, I mean...
Well, we're not continuing with this contract. We're asking to...
Rebid it, a whole new contract.
Well, at this point, we're asking for closure of this contract as is. We're paying them for what they completed only. We're not going to be continuing completion of the remaining scope of the original contract.
Okay. Is it a project that needs to be completed?
It's an ongoing maintenance program. Joint sealing, as you know, it's done on an annual basis. So it's not something that's done every couple of years. It's every year.
Okay.
Or depending when the funding is available.
Okay. Well, welcome aboard. I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council members?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Comartin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just going to a question on the contract itself. I know that we're closing this out and finalizing it. Was it budgetary reasons or just basically because of the contractor and workmanship?
What happened is it was a late construction season project. It started, I believe, around July, mid-July or August, and there was some prevailing wage issues, administrative issues. By the time they were resolved, it was simply too late in construction season to complete it. And when we got to this year, it was obviously very wet, and just the time that was allowed or available, we wouldn't be able to continue with this contractor and stay within the original contract terms that were allowed.
Okay, so we're just outside the contract terms as far as
Correct.
that goes. It's going to be rebid out with the new budget. And how much money do we have allocated with the new budget?
I believe in this 2011 contract, 2012 budget, we have about $50,000 available for joint sealing.
Okay, so really with the 91,000 being a credit, we're still a little short for our next budget too.
A little bit, correct.
Okay.
It's less than it was in the previous year.
Will that 50,000 cover the work that wasn't completed, or probably not?
Basically what happened, this contract was awarded on the amount of the funding that was available at that time. I'm sure the contractor was willing to do a little bit more, but that's all that we have. So we awarded it in the amount of not to exceed $150,000. And because of the circumstances, they were only able to complete about $58,000 worth of the work. So now anything that's remaining goes back to the general fund, I believe, and we're going to start fresh with this year's funds for the new rebid of the same
All right.
work.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
explanation. Thanks.
Any further comments from council members?
Madam Chair?
Ms. Vogt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may, Mr. Odeski, Mr. Shadig was acting city engineer. Your title is civil engineer?
At this point, I'm acting city engineer. When I prepared that letter, I believe, was there any correspondence that you're referring to?
There is correspondence dated June 10, where it's, God bless you, your title is civil engineer.
That is correct. I was working up until last week in a capacity of a civil engineer in the engineering division. That was my title, civil engineer.
That was your title, and your title now is
Acting city since...
acting city engineer.
Correct.
Okay. I'm sorry to have to question you, but we don't get notice of appointments, or at least some of us don't get notice of appointments. So that came as a surprise.
It's not really an appointment. It's a civil service position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. List?
there are just some mysteries in life, but to Mr. Burnett, we do have a continuing council resolution passed some years ago requiring the administration to notify us of any personnel changes, and notice that that hasn't been updated in a while. I'm wondering if you could check with the administration, see if they could submit a new list of appointments and other significant changes to the personnel. Thank you. I have nothing further, Madam Chair. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Any further comments from council members? Go ahead and call the question. Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Ms. Vogt?
Yes?
Mr. Sadowski?
Yes.
Mr. List?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Comartin?
Yes.
Mr. Buckingham?
Yes.
Camp, yes. The motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Welcome.
Item 11L, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving change order number 2 and final to City Project P-09-523 2009 CDBG road paving project, which decreases the contract with Al's Asphalt Paving Company Incorporated in the amount of $22,554.12 and authorization for payment to be made in the amount of $50,769.21, also authorizing the mayor and the clerk to execute said change order.
Need a motion and
So
support?
moved.
Motion by Mr. Stevens,
Support.
support by Mr. Warner. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, I'll call the question. Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski?
Yes.
Mr. List?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Comartin?
Yes.
Mr. Buckingham?
Yes.
Camp, yes. The motion passed unanimously. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Item 11M, request of Information Systems Division for approval to waive the bid procedure and authorize award to annual financial software maintenance renewal from the sole source provider, Information Development Consultants Incorporated, in the amount of $49,050 and authorization for payment to be made within 10 days of receipt of proper invoice. SOL-W-8406.
Need a motion and support?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Stevens,
Support.
support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Just as a final note here for people watching at home, it says IDC is the developer and owner of these software packages. We cannot obtain these services from any other source, as the software is licensed directly from IDC. In addition, if there are updates to the software system, they can only be provided by IDC. So with that being said, I'll call the question. Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Comartin?
Yes.
Mr. Bocamino?
Yes.
Mr. Liz?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Camp, yes. The motion passed unanimously.
Item number 13, audience participation.
Thank you. Our first speaker this evening is Tomas Banya. Good evening.
Good evening. All right, so the only thing that I didn't speak about last week was, if you look at that audience participation sheet, someone changed a few things on it. Why did they do that? You guys didn't amend that, did you? I didn't hear it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the June 2nd and June 3rd special meetings you guys had. Ms. Cole-Martin brought up a brilliant point. Those minutes do not reflect in any way, shape, or form what really happened and was said at that meeting. Why you guys approved those minutes, I have no idea. The next thing I want to talk about is the ballot proposal for the redistricting commission from last year. My question is, show me where in the city charter does it say, in the current city charter, not on this ballot proposal, in the current city charter, does it say that there must be a redistricting commission, there must be 5 districts? Where is it? It's not there, is it? So why do we do it? I don't know. Next thing that I'd like to talk about here is, gotta love technology. Council rules of procedure. I came up here 2 weeks ago and said, where's announcements in the council rules of procedure? It's not there. So why is it on the agenda tonight again? I don't know. City vehicles taken home. Whoever lives at 27666 Gilbert Drive, I'm not going to name who it is or where they work for or who they work for, but they drive city vehicle number 916, license plate 079X049. Why? Why are they taking vehicles home? All right. This is not working, so I'm just going to put this aside now. As you guys all know, I have that website, warrenlife.info. I'm not going to talk about how many people go to it or how many people don't go to it. But one thing I noticed while posting one of the videos online and looking through the city charter is, city charter states that the mayor cannot vote, or the mayor is a non-voting member of any board or commission. So why does he vote on the DDA? It's a violation of the city charter, isn't it? Well, as a violation of the city charter, he's also violating his oath of office. And if he violates his oath of office, he's supposed to be out of office. Mr. Biernet, I'm going to end with this one word: nepotism. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Sheldon. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairman, for this opportunity to speak. I am from Oak Park, where we recently passed a resolution in the Oak Park City Council dealing with